Washington and called to say you want to see her, that you try to dissuade her from taking the job. You know, you said some people in Nigeria don't want her to take the job because it will make Jonathan look good. Was there any truth to that?
You know, it's a very sad story, and I took her up on it. And
you took her up on it?
Oh yes, because that was not what happened. I went to visit her primarily to get someone a job. A friend of mine in the United States wanted to work in the World Bank, so I went to talk to her about the processes. I'm worried, not even because I think it will be rigged. I think the opposition will rig itself out.
Oh, really?
Out of stupidity.
Wow.
I mean, cheat me once, shame on you. Cheat me twice, shame on me. The only way you can seriously tackle the incumbent is to come together to tackle it, to have the force. Otherwise, you will factionalize. Look, Bola Tinubu is not the average politician, right?
In the mold of Jonathan.
Well, you said it. I didn't call anybody's name. All I know that he is not the
run-of-the-mill
politician, right?
Mm.
So you don't go to fight a lion who also has horns. No, listen to this. Can you imagine a lion with a horn?
Yes.
Right? It's already a dangerous animal.
Absolutely.
Then you now give it a horn and you say go and fight it with knife and fork.
Wow.
You'll be the dinner.
Wow.
So let's get real.
This is Naija Unfiltered on Symphony TV. My name is Olawale Oluwade. And my guest today is a former governor of Cross River State, a lawyer, businessman, politician. Your Excellency, Donald Duke. Nice to have you.
Pleasure's mine.
You're welcome, sir.
Thank you.
I've looked for you everywhere.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't realize I was hiding.
And on a lighter note, what's the trade secret to this longevity and looking so young?
If I tell you, it ceases to be a secret.
September 30th, I think you'll be 65.
Absolutely.
Wow. I'd like to look like this when I'm your age.
Be careful what you pray for.
Let's get on with our business.
Thank you.
You're the presidential candidate of the People's Redemption Party. Why do you want to be president?
You know, it's an incredible sacrifice to put yourself out there, knowing that there are just two results. You either make it or you don't. So there's a certain conviction that goes with it. I believe that the direction the country is going now is foreboding for all of us, and globally too. Nigeria is not a small country. Nigeria is a large country, and we believe that in the next few years, Nigeria will probably be the third most populous nation in the world. It could be constructive, it could be disruptive. Constructive if we get our people working, productive, and adding value to the global economy. Disruptive if it's the reverse. And I see us going in that direction where our people are not productive, and there is really no apparent attempt to create an economy that encompasses all of us. So a lot of us look out for succor. We go to more prosperous countries because we have a country that cannot accommodate our economic needs. Let me make this even more succinct to you. In 1980, between 1979 and 83, while Shagari was president of Nigeria, his average annual national budget was $25 billion on the average. So in his 4 years, he spent $100 billion. His population was barely 75 million people in the 70s during the period. 46 years after, we're still spending around that same $25 billion. We call it trillions now because we just thoroughly thrashed the currency. But our population has more than quadrupled, right? And you could see the effects. Even when we were 25 billion, there were still issues here and there to show that it wasn't the economy wasn't still large enough at that time. Now it's even worse. So the fallout of that is the Boko Haram you see, the banditry, the kidnapping, all the vices you see right now as a result of the inadequacy in our system. Okay, and it's seen in other aspects of our lives. The issue of tribalism, religious bigotry, and all that. It's inadequate economy. If the economy is large enough for everyone, who cares if you're Muslim or Christian? Who cares if you're from the north or the south and all that? But you see, where you have an inadequate economy, people strive to use what they've got to get what they want. If being a Muslim is an advantage to you, you take advantage of it. If being a Christian is the same, being from the south or southwest, whatever. So we have to address our economic issues to ensure that everyone, as much as possible, is productive. After all, for me, the definition of the reason for government is to ensure that each citizen is optimally productive within a safe and orderly environment. I think that's what government is all about. That's why we build schools, hospitals, roads, infrastructure. That's why we have security and all that, police and all that, and the judiciary for orderliness. Because The reason for the existence of government is to make everyone in society productive. If everyone were productive in society, except those who have negative, very, very negative tendencies, most people would not, you get to a point. I mean, when we talk of the past, and we go to our village life, where there was a semblance of, everyone was productive. You had your farm, you go produce and all that, and there was a semblance of satisfaction in the community. You could leave your doors open and be sure that no one will come in and harass you or steal and all that, but you can't today. The sad thing is that it's very difficult to reverse the trend, because those who have gone into kidnapping, banditry and all that, I know a true life experience where a kidnapped victim was asking her kidnappers, "Why are you doing this? You seem like a fairly decent person, you speak well and all that." And the guy said to her, "I'm a graduate. I went to so-so university. I've been out of school for the last 15 years, nothing. Now I've kidnapped you. I'm going to get 20 million off you. Which job will give me 20 million for 1 week's work?" So you see, it's very difficult to reverse. Once they get into it, there's no amount of money you're going to pay them that will satisfy, because their appetite has grown, So it's a dangerous situation we find ourselves. And unfortunately, in the last almost 15, 20 years, I would say, we have not made any targeted approach to growing our economy. Look at the interest rates. I mean, to do business, you need the banks, you need funding, you know that.
Absolutely.
Who's going to borrow at 35, 38%? Your interest rate is inimical to growth.
Absolutely.
You focus on inflation, because if you speak to them at the central bank, they say because of inflation, so they keep it that way. The money you borrow, you lend to customers to grow their economy, to grow their business, right, does not inflate your economy. If anything, it helps deflate it. I always take it like, take a bucket of water. That water in the bucket is inflation. You put a sponge. If you put a small sponge, it can't absorb enough. But you put a large sponge into it, which is the economy, it will absorb all the inflation, because people now have spending power, and there's not, because inflation, they say excess money, excess liquidity, but because there's no purchasing power. So if you expand the economy, people will be able to purchase. And it's simple. Economics is actually common sense.
Yeah,
if you apply, it's a logical science. But they tell you it's a thing. Now you look at it. What is the cause of inflation? In our terms, there's a disconnect between the monetary policy and fiscal policy. While monetary policy is focused on keeping, managing the naira, as it were, and dealing with inflation,
yes,
our fiscal policy is haywire. We're just spending as it comes,
Like drunken sailors.
Yeah, absolutely. And the sad thing is that we're spending on things that we don't produce.
It's prioritization.
Yes. So you're just spending this money, and so then the central bank, to keep some sanity in the system, now inflicts us with high interest rates. So it's counterproductive. You've got to address the monetary policy and fiscal policy must sit down together and agree on what ought to do. And if you're producing enough here, you're keeping people employed, they have disposable income. You know very well today, even if you bring the best teams in the world to play football here, you could never fill a stadium. If you charge 100 naira, you won't fill that stadium up, because people don't have disposable income.
Absolutely.
And so we have a huge challenge with that. We've got to look at those things, look at the purchases, and ensure that as much as possible, all consumer items in Nigeria are made in Nigeria, for Nigerians, for West Africa, for Central Africa, for Sub-Saharan Africa. That's the direction to go. If we go on this way, this trajectory, in the next 10 years, we're already in disaster, but it will be such a disaster that, Professor Aluko, who is chairman of the National Economic Intelligence Committee, where I once worked, said the time is coming when the rich won't sleep because the poor don't eat. I think that time has arrived.
Wow, interesting. Your opening remarks really sobering. Well, let me ask you, even before we get into the meat of this conversation, Professor Chinua Achebe, perhaps Nigeria's greatest folklorist, bard, and all of that, said, Nigeria's problem is simply and squarely, I'm quoting him now, leadership. Because what you just painted is not rocket science. Let me borrow this popular cliche. It's not rocket science.
It is not, absolutely.
We have the human resource. We produce professors of economics, globally renowned, sound people. What has been the missing link, Your Excellency?
It's leadership, because it encompasses so many things. But I think the solution to Nigeria's problem is one person.
Wow.
Getting the right person as a leader who would now put together the leadership.
It's
you see, it's like, if you look at soccer, you learn a lot from it.
Absolutely. It's a live sport, actually.
It is. You take the captain, and I'll give you a graphic story. This happened in 2003, 2005, I don't remember. I was watching television in Calabar, and it was England against Norway or one of those Scandinavian countries. And Beckham was a non-playing captain because he had some injury.
Okay.
So he took over like the manager of the team. He was running across, telling them what to do and all that, and changing players if needed and all, you know.
That this wonder shall never end. Yes, so. Yes. According to this man, what they call Donald Duque, former governor of Cross River State, if I'm not mistaken. You understand? So he said that Tinubu subsidy is the biggest scam, you understand, in the whole world. And so he talk. You understand? He also deliberate concerning this concerning Atiku, Okonjo and Okonjo-Iweala, you understand? So and this 2027 election, where he demand talk many things, you understand? So I want you guys to share and also to share. And also help me to share this video so that more people can see it. I really know Sugar Boy.